You are listening to Confessions of a Counselor podcast. Here we will talk all things mental health in bite-sized chunks. Hello and welcome to Confessions of a Counselor. I'm your host, Janice, and in today's episode, I thought we would talk about summarizing what we've discussed over the last season of the podcast and talking about neurodivergence and how this impacts the individual, how this impacts the therapeutic process, and ways in which we can kind of continue the conversation of adding neurodivergence into the therapeutic process. So let's jump right in. I think the lesson that I've learned as I was researching and discovering more about the impact of neurodivergence and the ways in which I've started to implement different therapeutic strategies and ways in which therapy might be different for those who are experiencing neurodivergence. I think it's really important to know in therapy we're needing to see the person as a person, right? And in what might they be struggling with and what might they already be succeeding in, and really starting to take a step back and looking at it from a strengths-based perspective versus this deficit perspective. So I think oftentimes when we're talking about neurodivergence, and I think in some cases even just mental health in general, but specifically for this, with neurodivergence, we see this as a deficit, right? They're not doing this. They have struggles with this. They lack this ability. And when we're looking at it from a deficit perspective, when we're saying you don't have this skill, you are incapable of doing this, it often leaves the person feeling like I'm doing something wrong. I am not capable of doing this thing, right? Whereas if we can turn it into a strengths-based perspective, we can say, I am doing this, which then causes struggle to do something else. So in the last episode, we were talking about monotropism and how that focus means that sometimes I have a hard time at shifting my attention. So that's a struggle that I'm having, but I'm also very good at fully immersing myself in something, that I'm very good at finding the details in what's happening. Or we've been talking about the sensory issues of a neurodivergent person, right? And we could say that they are hypersensitive, or that they are picky, or that they are too sensitive, right? So these things are a deficit, but in reality, it's that they are very aware of their bodies. They are very aware of what's happening. And so I think it's really, really important to unpack what's happening and what is the language that we're using. And so that's why I really wanted to take some time over the last several episodes to focus on what can we do in the therapeutic process? How can we start to more neuro-affirming therapy that understands the strengths of the neurodivergent? And not that we are sensationalizing or saying that there isn't struggle, but I think that the focus needs to come off of the struggle and into how that is creating a human and how they are having different strengths than maybe we would see in someone else. And how can we navigate the balancing of struggle and strength? So I think that moving forward, this is going to be something that I, as a therapist, am going to be focusing on. And I know that this is something that's coming into my office a lot more as well. And so I want to be aware of that, and how can the mental health community as a whole start to focus on what we need to support our neurodivergent community, and moving into this process of understanding what is the strength of this community versus what is the deficit of this community. Okay. So that's my little spiel, my little summary of what I think is important about these episodes and what I want to do moving forward in terms of creating change and focus of the therapeutic process. So I hope that you found that helpful, or that maybe that gives you some insight into working with me and how that will impact the work that we do. Until next time, take care. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Confessions of a Counselor podcast is available anywhere you like to listen to your podcasts on Apple and Android. New episodes are released every Friday. If you enjoyed today's episode, please join the conversation. leave a review, or subscribe to the podcast hosted on Spotify. You can find all these details on janicelyons.com. Until next time, take care.